Hey everybody, it's Chris, MTGO's Rexstart, and we're back with part 2, and I'm going to be taking a look at my Orzhov Advisor deck. This was a bit of late inspiration for me. I had no time to play test this, but it did surprisingly well, and the main combo in the deck assembled a few times and was a blast, so I thought I would go ahead and show it here. I'd been itching to play an Orzhov deck for a little while, and I'd also been itching to find a home for Righteous War, so this really came together. And let's take a look. The main combo here is Teysa Orzhov Scion with Painter's Servant. And how it works is Teysa gives you the ability to sack 3 white creatures to exile target creature. And it also gives you a trigger that whenever a black creature dies, you get a white spirit creature token with flying. So, if you put a Painter's Servant into play naming black, and you have 3 other white creatures, whether they're Souls tokens was the way that I was trying to do this, but it could also be some of these guys. As long as you have 3 white creatures to sack other than the Teysa and the Painter's Servant, you get back 3 1/1 white spirit creature tokens, because all those creatures are, of course, black as a result of the Painter's Servant. So what it basically does is it's going to turn those guys into exiling creature, and now you're going to give 3 1/1 white and black spirit creature tokens in play, so you can then sack those things, get 3 more, exile another creature, repeat as many times as you need to wipe the opponent's board. And anyways, this was a blast to actually execute, and it came together a surprising number of times. And in order to sort of round this out, you may have noticed that the Advisors tribe has been getting a lot of love from Orzhov in this current block, and is going to get a little bit more love with a new version of Teysa that I'm going to talk about very briefly in the write-up, this article that just got spoiled. But anyways, I added the Cartel Aristocrat here, a nice way to give you a little sack outlet if you want to get some value. She can beat in, gives her evasion with the protection, and of course she is black and white, so it makes good use of the Righteous War. I splashed green very lightly just for Teague to give me some extra disruption. Unfortunately, that is a nombo with the Spectral Procession, so I ended up cutting this back to 2 in favor of just maxing out on Lingering Souls, which I generally prefer anyways. The Loyal Retainers is just here for value. I don't have any way to dump anything in the yard to try to cheat out early with them, but I have so many legendary creatures here that are really solid, so I figured there'd be a way to bring them back. Righteous War is one that I'm not afraid to play some color hosing enchantments in my decks, especially if the colors they're hosing are incredibly popular colors, and especially if I have a way like Painter's Servant to take advantage of that. The Painter's Servant, both by making all your creatures white and or black, turning the opponent's spells into white or black spells with the Painter's Servant, which is pretty much always going to be naming white or black, giving my guys immunity, spot removal, letting my guys basically just attack through whatever they've got on the board. So 1 Phyrexian Arena just to Mize for a little bit of extra value. Never got to cast it in the event, not sure how that would have performed. I went with a couple copies of Vindicate here. Would like to probably fit a 3rd one in this list if and when I would play it again. If you don't have Vindicates, if you're looking to play something like this combo on a more limited budget, Vindicate can just be swapped out with O-Ring, which is about as good, about 60%, more like 80% of the time probably. Kong Ming was a way to pump up my tokens. A very powerful creature in token strategies, and very conveniently an advisor here for my deck. And of course the big baddie from Gatecrash, Obzedat, Ghost Council. 5 mana, 5/5, drains the opponent for 2 when it comes into play. You get to get rid of it at your end step and bring it back with haste at the beginning of your next turn, drain your opponent again, and it very conveniently avoids sorcery speed removal in that regard. And if you have a Righteous War out, you basically got a guy here who's already wrath proof, and you're giving him protection from white and black, and you're pretty much forcing your opponent to have like 2 lightning bolts to be able to deal with this guy. So I figured it'd be a nice one to put a couple here at the top of the curve. 2 is probably the right number. I wouldn't maybe mind having a 3rd, but 2 is definitely was fine. And one Miser's copy here of Elishnorn at the top, just because if I ever got to the point where I was going to cast it with all the tokens and everything, I was probably just going to win that game. Went with one Vault of the Archangel, again, just here for value. I didn't want to stretch my mana too much. I'm running 24 lands so that I can accommodate this Vault. Caracas seemed reasonable given all the creatures I've got here. But of course, remember that if you've got your Painter's Servant out, this Caracas is going to be a color, and so you might not be able to bounce your own guy once you have the Righteous War out. Other than that, the mana is pretty standard fetch duel thing. So, anyways, had a blast playing the deck, and if you'll join me in the next part, we will take a look at some replays.